Welcome to Hardin Life Live. We are the Hardin, so I'm one Hardin today, but we are a group of coaches and counselors, and we love taking 10 minutes every week to hopefully give you some tips to live your best life. And we've been doing a cool thing this month. We have been looking at the family codes that are in all of our families. And these codes really almost dictate how you and I relate to people. And I'm especially excited today because we have a great guest contributor. Katie Kuepfer is in Colorado, and she is a certified complex PTSD and Enneagram coach. And Katie, what really excited me is you took a topic that is so noted in the field of counseling as critical to understand not only in the early life of a child, but throughout our adulthood. And you really picked the topic attachment styles. Tell me a little bit about, your love for this. What made you pick this to write on in our family code?
Yeah, it's great to be with you. It really is. This is really dear to my heart. I think I have spent a lifetime truly trying to figure out why I do sometimes the things I do, the way I react to people, how I handle situations. And it's been frustrating. It's been challenging. It's caused wounds in my own life, and it's caused wounds in family members that I love. And so it's been about 3 years that I think all the pieces of the puzzle finally came together when I started identifying my attachment style, where I fit into the Enneagram, and basically why I do what I do as a result of the childhood background that I have.
Well, it's interesting. I love even your certifications in both Enneagram and complex PTSD, because both of them really target that area of when we were itty bitty. And yet, because of our great needs, as you said in your blog, to feel safe and secure and cared for, we apparently are hypersensitive to our caretakers, and depending on their response basically sets the trajectory of our life on how we approach all relationships.
Exactly.
Tell us more about those 4 styles.
Right. Well, the first one, secure, which is in the blog, is an ideal. And there are probably not many people in life that feel that they've been raised in an environment where mom and dad are all but perfect and are able to care for a child, make them feel unconditionally loved, give them security, and do it perfectly. Because the honest truth is, generational trauma is as far back as the beginning of time. And every parent does the best that they can with what they're equipped with. But we all inevitably fail and disappoint or wound our children. And so the first one, the secure, is the one that feels loved, they feel safe, and they're able to just launch into life, even as a small toddler and so forth, seeing the world through a lens of safety. The next one, the anxious one, is mine. And it's one that I truly resonated with as I was, over the last few years working on this. So for me, in my environment, even though I knew I was loved, there was a disconnect, in the ability for a parent to make me feel like the center of their world. And that's normal. It was not intentional by any stretch, but it left me feeling very needy and very, I guess I hate to use the word desperate, but it kind of felt that way for love. And so it threw me into a dynamic where in any relationship that I've been in, I'm working ultra hard, if I'm not in a healthy place, to receive that love. The next one is avoidant, and that's probably
me. That was me.
That's you. Yeah.
That's me.
And I got a hair. I'm so sorry. You and my husband both. And so it's I love that 2 people I love so much have that same thing. But the opposite. They didn't feel they detected early on that the mom or a dad or caretaker are not in a position to meet all of their needs and make them feel safe in their environment. So they have to step up. You have to step up and become that person to take care of yourself. And therefore you're putting up walls. I'm kind of more reaching for people. The avoidant is kind of pulling away. And then the final one is, oh gosh, so sorry.
Disorganized.
They're disorganized, yeah. And it's kind of a blend of those two. And I actually was working with somebody recently on that, where they're confused about this deep inner frustration, rage, kind of very oh gosh, what's the word? Where they have difficulty receiving people and allowing them into their world. So they put up walls as well, but they're really longing for connection. I mean, they're wanting that relationship. So the fact is, we fit into one of those categories. We really, truly do. Not to pigeonhole people, but that kind of helps make sense of our story and where we've come from.
Wow, I so resonate with how all of those play in to then how we relate.
Mm-hmm.
So you were looking for love.
Mm-hmm.
I sort of personally, because I can honestly think how I got to avoidant.
Yes.
My mother, at the young age of 24, lost my dad to cancer. I was only 3 years old. 3 months later, her father was killed in a car accident. And my
so
mother,
much.
yes, she had been the oldest of 8 children. And her mother still had a 5-year-old. And so my mother at 24 took on the responsibility of financially supporting her whole family. And even though I was itty bitty, I sensed my mom's overwhelm. And I innately, I believe, took on, I will not be a burden to her, and I need to take care of me. So it's crazy how, and obviously that was unintentional on my mom's part.
Right.
But the reality, and even in my marriage today, Phil will always say he wants more of me, and I'm always backing away. So talk about how these things stick.
Yes.
So what?
Yeah, and both you and I think this is probably very common in relationships. One person tends to be the reacher and the other tends to be pulling back, and we don't understand why in these relationships, marriage or parent to child or whatever. This kind of helps it all begin to make sense. And I think for me, it gave tremendous compassion for me to look at my mom through the eyes of a person that did the very best they could, and she loved me, but she also didn't meet all the needs that I had, the core needs that I had. And on the other side of the coin, I'm a mom of 4 grown kids, and I know I failed them. I know I've wounded them, and I'm doing all I know to help reconcile and heal those wounds. So it's kind of like, what I would love for my children to treat me, I want to do that to my mom. And that doesn't mean it's a perfect relationship. We still have to work on hearing each other and respecting each other, but it kind of took it away from feeling like something was done to me or not done to me, and instead being able to think, wow, they did the best they could. I've done the best that I could. We can't redo time. We can't back up the clock, but we can take it forward. And I think it's created tremendous compassion in my mom and my relationship, which is better and more healthy than it ever has been.
That is so encouraging. And I just, I think that's what I would want people really taking away from your blog and even what we're sharing this morning is, number one, there is no perfect attachment. So we all are able to give that grace. But the wonderful thing is there is healing. Just like you said, you've really grown. I know I have really worked in my relationship with our daughters to speak out loud the ways that I saw my avoidant style of attachment actually hurt them. And I think how this all ties into the family code is that early attachment needs, we figure out how to fit into our individual families, and people, we all play the role. And the 4 of us, which you would have even more, talk about, well, I was the funny one. I was the helpful one. I was this, because it served us well to get those needs met from
Correct.
our early attachment needs.
Yeah. And it did serve well for us as children. It helped us to somehow feel safe. But as adults, it doesn't look pretty. It doesn't work. It no longer serves us. And it really causes probably more distress and challenges in our lives than we need or want. And it's time to kind of grow into that mature place and let those child survival styles go away. They're not needed anymore.
Well, I loved your blog was incredible, and I know we're out of time, but I want to point everyone to it, hardinlife.com, because Katie gives some practical tips too on how to begin to get those attachment needs met and really see yourself healed. And it's never too late, like you're saying. It's absolutely never too late. And so, Katie, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank
and we
you.
look forward to seeing you